Hello, Collective, and welcome into OAtarot. That is Original Angel Tarot. And I, behind the camera, am your hostess with the mostest, and you can call me Abra. Welcome in to those of you who are new here. I noticed that after my 11/11 message, I got a number of new subscribers, some inquiries for personal reads, and I very much felt the love on my channel. So thank you for those of you who've decided to join the collective. And then for my A1 day ones, those have been here since I started my channel. Thank you for allowing me to serve you as I have, and thank you for all of the donations, the comments, every way that you have sown into my channel. I very much appreciate it, and it does not go unnoticed. I obviously have some things out here already for you to have a gander at. This is not the actual message. I had wanted to get a preemptive look at the energy before I began, but Spirit asked me to leave this out here to explain to you all as well. I have a number of downloads, and I also chose a book from my angels, a page from my Angels A to Z book here to go over with you in a second. But I do want to start this off by saying that I do expect this to be another one of those monumental reads, similar to my 11/11 read, which means I will probably be taking lots of breaks to breathe. I will be taking my time, and I encourage you to use this moment while you're listening to me to ground yourself, center yourself, care for your mental, physical, emotional body in any way that you may have been neglecting. If that means drinking some water, having a nice meal, stretching, getting some errands done, do what you need to do. We're going to be multitasking, but this is a very important message, so I do not want to rush it. And as I've said in the past, if that means you need to speed it up, go right ahead. But there's a lot of information to dive into. It might even be 2 parts. It's going to be what it needs to be because it is a big deal. Okay, so first off, the page I chose out of this book at random, we fell on Lucifer, okay? And 252 breaks down to a 9, and then 253 breaks down to a 10. So we're talking about coming to the end of a cycle. And something I forgot to mention, though you'll see it in the title of this video, is today is November 15th, 2024, which means today is the full frost supermoon in Taurus. And that's a pretty big deal just on its own. But it's also extremely important to note that this is going to be our last full moon of the Pluto Capricorn experience. So, hallelujah. Okay, can I get an amen? We're moving into Pluto Aquarius, and this is the time that we've been waiting for, everybody. Except for you karmics. I'm sure there are some watching, but we're not talking to y'all right now. This is going to be very transformational. It's going to be very powerful, and it is important to keep our minds open to where we're going in the future. I get the feeling that it's going to be quite a shock to everybody, the highest timeline, collective included. I guess Spirit has some surprises in store for us, perhaps some Easter eggs, as you can see from these symbols and letters I've got out here. Let's touch on this page first. Then I'll go over the downloads and we'll dive into these cards. Okay, so like I said, expect to be here for a little while, but as Ram Dass says, be here now. Okay, so this page speaks about the archetypal figure of the angel represented as a mysterious stranger who arrives to effect a change in the heart. It also speaks to the fact that 3 holy, it's not in quotation marks, but I want to put in quotation marks, men cannot remember the words to the Lord's Prayer, but they can run over water in pursuit of the bishop's ship. It also speaks to the fact that humanity's plans to build a tower to heaven are put off from one generation to another until finally the idea becomes senseless. And the Tower of Babel is a very pertinent concept that applies to our individual lives, but more so to the macro expression of the collective. I want to see if I can mention this. I cannot mention that. Okay, so there was something I was going to share in regards to my gifts personally, and they asked me not to. So maybe another time that will be relevant, or appropriate to share. However, now is not the time. However, the Tower of Babel, as some of us may or may not know, speaks to the pride of man and how certain advancements are made. And stereotypically, the belief is that God thought we were coming too close to his position, because of course in these stories God is viewed as man, and he needed to humble those who sought to oppose him or who sought to gain unfair power. And there is a semblance of truth in that allegory. However, what I think is the more appropriate interpretation is the fact that advancements that are made, knowledge that is gained, and wisdom that is utilized was done so to the detriment of the whole. So perhaps a large, towering, beautiful, expansive emanation of human knowledge was created, and those outside the tower were left to struggle. They were left without their basic needs being met. They were outcast. They were disease-ridden. And perhaps if we were to just feel into the story as to why this might have happened, why this fall might have occurred, it is not so much in relation to the knowledge that has been gained, but perhaps the consequence of mishandling it. I would just like to plant that as a little seed. And transmute that, please. With Lucifer being mentioned here, it relates to Venus, the morning star, which is representative of Ishtar, Inanna, the great original creatrix. And therefore, I think that this could be speaking to the perversion of divine femininity, how patriarchal colonial institutions have benefited greatly from divorcing the individual and the masses from what the truth is, as well as the all-encompassing value of the divine feminine principle within and without them. So there's that. And as I was choosing a page from that book, I did find both the Daughter of Wands, which is the Page of Wands there, and then the Four of Wands in this book. And I forgot about those cards entirely. I actually ended up giving this deck away, so I've now only got this one card left from the deck. And traditionally, the Page of Wands is seen as a message, potentially a brand new beginning. And as of late, it hasn't been giving me the best feeling. To be honest, it often gives me someone who's dabbling in magic and has really incorporated energies that are too big for them, and they could potentially be struggling. However, this particular, pardon me, the energy is getting dense again. This particular depiction very much gives me free energy. It gives me harmony with the ecosystem. It gives me mythical beings overcoming mountainous experiences that we have had forced upon us by the wheel of change spinning out of order. And the collective message I got from these two cards was a feeling of sovereignty and interdependence and heaven on earth. So I'm very happy to have seen these cards. Let's just make sure we're still in focus. Yes, we are. Okay, I'm gonna have a little sip and do some deep breaths, and I encourage you to do the same. I'm also going to light up some more incense because we're getting low. I'm burning some copal, some neg champa. I think energetic cleansing is going to be very important during this time. I personally think it is necessary daily, but especially as we are closing out these very dense karmic cycles, we can use all the help we can get, right? And I think, in fact, I know Mother Gaia is more than happy to assist us in any way she can through use of herbs, spices, crystals, and whatnot. I've got a selenite pillar up there in the corner. Okay, so there's some of that for you. I'm also going to give my bell another ring. And we are going to consciously activate and call in our highest timelines, our highest selves, the highest emanation of Earth. We are going to repel and revoke all unlawful access to the ethers, as well as abuse of power. We're going to call for a swift, unprecedented, and permanent justice upon all who have opposed divine highest good, forever and ever. Amen. Ashe. So mote it be. So before I dive into the downloads, I want to share a brief little story that had a message in it that occurred this morning. So I was feeding my sweet little baby bear. Bear is a bunny, not a bear, though she is very fierce, some chamomile tea, because she loves to eat some chamomile tea. And as I was placing her bowl down, she was just so excited and acting as if she was starving. She bit my finger. She bit my middle finger, and it wasn't bad. I did bleed a little bit, and I was a little upset, but it wasn't intentional, and it isn't something she's ever done before. It was just an accident. However, the message that I got from that experience was that there seems to be a group of individuals, a group of karmics, soulless individuals who, due to their animalistic nature, bit the hand that fed them and who was trying to feed them expressions of peace and calm, right? Because if we think of chamomile tea, it's very relaxing. It's great for the nervous system. It's a beautiful herb to work with. And due to the lower level natures of certain individuals, Bear excluded, this isn't actually about her, they have condemned themselves to a cage because they had been given multiple opportunities to receive from the divine, the Holy Mother, things that would heal them and calm them and cleanse them of their demons, literal or metaphorical. And yet, they were unable to overcome that ego and that devolution, so the de-evolution of their soul. So if you've been seeing people acting especially unhinged as of late, know that it is because, one, your sight is getting better, but two, these people are actively devolving in front of you. Okay, and I did look up what the middle finger represented, and I made a note of it. Give me a second here. It represents responsibility, but if we consider a wound, we could certainly say irresponsibility. It also represents balance and the soul. So, again, this speaks to how individuals have greatly wounded those who sought to care for them. That is speaking directly to the highest timeline collective and how you have most likely expended seemingly endless amounts of care, love, attention, affection to people who have betrayed that kindness, but also you are the divine emanation of goddess, creatrix energy. So any opposition that you face, you are not facing alone. When someone hurts you, it is as if they're hurting the goddess herself. Okay? So I was shuffling up the Prism deck and I saw the Comfort card in reverse alongside Caution. So warnings have been sent. As we know, I've spoken about this at great length, as has a number of other people on YouTube. And now, people are being put in very uncomfortable situations. And it is not your job to jump in front of moving vehicles to interfere with very well-earned karma. Okay, that's not in my notes, but I just wanted to make note of it. Almond came through, and the spiritual meaning of almond is keep an open mind, which is actually what I wrote in my community post today, so I found that interesting. And it says, all is not as it seems, which is a particularly significant statement for me as well, and potentially for you, collective. Because people, places, things can present in very wonderful ways. However, as a lot of us do know, if a vampire comes to you as a vampire, you will not allow them in your house, pardon me. You would turn them away. So the vampire needs to dress up as a lover, a friend, a family member, you know? The veil is lifting and thinning more and more each day, which is why you are seeing the true nature of a lot of people. The song Union by Black Eyed Peas came up. Black Eyed Peas made me think of voodoo. I believe that is the association. I'll have to double check. Correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect. But the specific line, it's all for one and one for all, was standing out to me. And that could absolutely speak to how those who have sought to build the Tower of Babel with the exclusion of those who built it, most likely, have had this one for all sort of mentality. You know, the one world order sort of concept, new world order. They want everybody to be assimilated. It is not equal, it is assimilated. However, the other side of that, the visionary side of that, is that all of us hold a frequency of Gaia in our hands, and we actualize that day by day with intention and action, kindness and compassion. And that is what we will manifest. It is what we are manifesting. The concept of riding into battle came up alongside the term fall of Catholicism. Roman gods and gladiators were standing out to me, specifically in regards to this image here. And in relation to that, they gave me the term hunters becoming the hunted, at last, specifically, like finally. And that also relates to the concept of the last becoming the first becoming the last, the alpha and the omega, which again is very relevant for this channel. They gave me the image of in Mario Kart when someone falls off the rainbow road. So, collective, if you are on the highest timeline, then you are firmly on the rainbow road. However, these individuals who have been blindfolded will be falling down amongst the stars. And stars don't have hands, right? If we're to take this extremely literally, those stars will not be catching these people who decided by their own ill intent and consistent karmic behavior to toss themselves off of the path to enlightenment. And this could relate to the concept of Valhalla. They specifically said Valhalla versus La La Land because we have A and L, and the first association I got was LA, so Los Angeles could be relevant. I'll go into that later. But then they were saying La La. So heaven versus La La Land, you know, the in-between. I don't even want to say the underworld because it doesn't seem like that's what it's going to be. It's kind of just falling down, down, down in darkness. You know, it's purgatory. I rolled my die twice, and both times I got 4. So 4s are relevant in regards to that comfort and stability that will be for the collective. However, they were saying rolling the dice twice. And from that, I got the message of a gamble, which is interesting because I pulled these cards after that message and then Gambler did come out. So it was wonderful getting that confirmation. But on one side, we've got a gambler. And on the other side, we've got paradise. 2 die, a pair of dice. You know, you follow. Okay. The winged mother was calling out to me. That is Ishtar, Inanna, Isis, Mary Magdalene, of many names. She is cloaking her children, her daughters and her sons alike, in her wings. The method or materia of ascension, and the gamblers will be left all alone. AL also brought to mind Alcyone, which is the brightest star in Pleiades, which is in the Taurus constellation. And as I said, Taurus energy is very relevant at this moment in time. Alcyone bore Poseidon children. And then she also bore a human children. And I'm not sure if it was multiple or just one. However, the story I saw spoke to the fact that the child had with the human became half god and half man. So yes, this could speak to the Nephilim and the fallen angels, but I did not get that energy. I instead interpreted it in the sense, pardon me, I'm just moving energy, the divine emanations of goddess energy, the divine feminines, connecting intimately with those who need their presence the most. So this could speak to fallen twin flames and things of the sort. It is the divine feminine being the rightful ruler of this realm, the matriarch being the one who births kings, the creatrix and the destroyer. And through this, new generations of heaven will be born through physical manifestations of creation, such as businesses, collaborations, environmentalism, but also through physical children. And this, they want me to highlight, is one of the many reasons that one of the main focuses of the hidden agenda has been to pervert family systems. And as I said in that 11:11 reading, instill fatal family systems, because if the masculine and the feminine is out of union, if they're imbalanced, then you doom the next generation. So that's why there's been such coordinated attacks on each side of the divine feminine and divine masculine collective. When I was shuffling, I saw Justice as well as the Ace of Swords. So I think that is wonderful. And Justice is depicted with a sword, so we've got technically two Ace of Swords here. Two truths, and then potentially one lie. We've got a 5 here now. Change to the Force. Okay. As for these symbols we've got out here, as I said, LA could be relevant, Los Angeles. They were giving me this sense of the entertainment industry. The pineapple gave me thought of, you know, a couple of years back, pineapple symbology was everywhere. The swingers, they used pineapples, right? So sex parties, things of the sort. But it also made me think of SpongeBob SquarePants and children's entertainment and the Easter eggs that are put in those forms of media. The things that go unseen unless you look very, very closely. And a lot of it is very perverse messages. The heart in reverse made me think of the electromagnetic field of the heart and how a lot of people have been lacking that. And thus they have sought to connect themselves through networks to those who do actually sincerely have the heart. And that is most likely through indoctrination and programming and through intentional trails. The AL had also made me think of an Allen key, you know, for furniture and assembly of sorts, and how it's seen as the universal key. And the universal key is the heart. And again, that is something that has been missing in these individuals who prefer to gamble with the future of others over hard work. Sweetness at the end of the day wins, and I'm focused on how there's, as I've said in the past, two parts to this cherry. There's a pair of cherries here, so this could speak to a divine union, but I was seeing these as that pair of dice. So paradise winning over this perversion, and the heart with the balloon simply says that your heart has led to your sending. There's a sense of celebration, which also did come up in that 11/11 reading. And I think that things are going to be getting a lot lighter for us from here on out. They did also point out that the @ is like a reference. You know, if you @ somebody on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it may be, you're referencing someone. I don't know exactly what that speaks to. They didn't really say much more than that, so perhaps that's just a confirmation for somebody, okay? So how are we for time? 26:17. So 8/8, and we are in an 8 year. Wonderful. Okay, I will go over these cards, and then I think I will pull tarot in the next one. So my visionary collective, my pure white wearing ones, the light attribute of this card says capacity to envision what is not yet conceivable to others, willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. You are a set of individuals who has held a vision of the world that has been cherished by the divine, but disregarded and disparaged by those around you, most likely dating all the way back to your family systems and people that you thought were friends, family, and lovers. Because if you are somebody who is clothed in divinity and not from here, then you are viewed as an outsider, a weirdo, a hippie. You know, there is a lot of negativity attributed to and thrust upon someone who sees what others cannot. And the shadow attribute, which would speak to the hidden agenda, says selling insights to the highest bidder, compromising your vision to make it more acceptable or for one's personal gain. And that is what these gamblers have done. Relying on luck rather than hard work. And it is important to mention that, yes, hard work has been present in these people's lives. However, it is fruitless hard work, and it specifically requires the lack of divine luck and favor that has been present in the highest timelines collective, the highest timeline collective's lives to be siphoned. I don't know if I phrased that properly, but essentially, those with divine favor have had that stolen by these people who sought to weaponize it. Blind leading the blind. As for these cards here, we've got a 10, we've got a 6, and we've got a 5. So what I see is a definition of success that was previously expected to come to pass, a blessing for those who desired to build structures that excluded the very ones who visualized it or channeled it. It's coming down. And this is due to the fact that people have been misrepresenting themselves, is the first term I heard, but utilizing their access to information and communities and even technology in ways that have been for the benefit of a few, while forcing war, destruction, decay, and infighting upon the rest. It very much gives me Hunger Games energy. I'm going to be so for real with you. but the hunters have become the hunted. And honestly, I'm going to conclude this part here. If you want to keep on watching, I will see you in part 2. If you enjoyed the reading, please like, share, subscribe, do the things. If you want to book me for a personal, join me on Patreon, send me an email, or send me a donation. All are down below. Love you lots. Stay safe, stay sexy, stay sane, stay psychic, stay sunny.